Welcome back, csc200, to part 2 of our EX7 SpongeBob form. Before we even get to communicating with the database yet, we're going to have a form that basically displays our information on a page through PHP processing. So that's what we're going to do next. And one thing I just wanted to check out, I thought this was a little small here, so I'm just going to put a little CSS here in our input, and I'll just do a font size, and I could even copy this font size and put it here. And sometimes the input fields are a little different than the form fields because I put 1M, and let me just see if this changes anything. I'll just go here, and that looks a little bigger, and that's actually fine. So that'll work. That kind of evens it up a little bit, having that as 1M, and you could make it a little bigger if you want, but that should be fine. So I just added another style for my input, and those are for all these input fields that I have here. And what I want to do next is start working on my display a PHP. This is the PHP page. Now remember, PHP kind of gets interspersed with HTML. So let's open this up and take a look at it. And you can see there'll be a mix of some HTML. There's HTML, there's a title. So it'll be a dynamic web page, meaning it'll display HTML, but it'll have PHP in it. And the one I have here, I can see there's a problem already. Something's wrong with the color, so I'll have to fix that first. And okay, I cut this and pasted it, and it seemed to fix it. So I don't know what the issue was with this being white, but it looks okay now. I did a cut and paste, and I put it back, the same thing, because I couldn't find any problem with it. So anyway, we'll get beyond that. Now keep in mind that this is an HTML page. There's PHP that's going to go up here. Here's the opening PHP, and here's the closing PHP. And then we also have some opening and closing PHP right here that's going to be inside a table. And we're going to just generate a table from the information that we just created on our first index page. Now eventually we're going to skip over this and make a new file that's going to actually display things from our database. But we're kind of skipping the database part right now and just making sure that we can get information from our form and display it in a table. Because if we could do that, we should be able to put it in our database. But we'll take one step at a time here. So what we're going to do is kind of get our information into a table. We're going to kind of generate a table here, but the first thing we're going to need, it says set variables that represent values from form fields so that PHP can use them. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to use these name these name values as our variable names. So we're going to make variables here that we could display on a page. So what that means is we're going to make variables. So if you remember how to make variables, if you look back at, I believe it was EX5, if I just go here, open up one of these and see if we have some PHP. These are how we created variables. Now this is going to be a little different when we do this kind of post kind of information. So this is going to be a little bit different when we get information, but it'll be kind of like this. So I could copy this for now. And I'll go back and I'll close this up just so I don't have too many things open. And I'll go back here and I'll paste this. Now these aren't what we're going to use, but we're going to have variables called first, last, and PHP variables always have the $sign. And we're going to have one called species and gender, because those are the only ones we're really working with right now. We're keeping them all lowercase, and we're going to be basically getting them from our fields in here. So we're going to be getting them from here. So, but we're using a method called post. So I'll show you what we'll do for that. Now I'm just going to go to PHP in W3 Schools and just go down to form validation. I'll have to find a better place to describe this, but because they don't really describe it that well here, because they're not showing a lot of the PHP, they're showing a lot of the HTML. But if you see a place here where they actually, I think they just use get, but in terms of, if you see this thing here with the $sign, underscore post and name, that's the way we actually are going to get our information from our server. And this is kind of what they're doing here. They're kind of creating variables here. So it's not exactly what we want, but this is what we want. So I'm actually going to copy this here, this part right here, and including this, and go back here, and we're going to go up to where our variables are in this display A, and I'm going to replace it here. put this right in here. And it's going to look something like that. So this is, we're going to use this post is going to get, it's going to get basically the name field from here. What it's using is, it's using these name things. First, last, species, gender. It's using those. So, and it's using the post method. That's why when we're doing this in here, we're going to use the post method, and then we're going to use, actually not name, we're going to use first here. And then I'm just going to copy this and just paste it a couple more times. And that's how it gets information from a form, by either using the get or post method. So that variable here with the $sign is going to represent what they get from the form. So this one is going to be last, this one is going to be species, and this one is going to be gender. So that's how we're going to get the information, and then the variable is going to hold that, and we need the variable because so PHP can work with it. So it's kind of converting what these variables are doing. It's kind of converting our HTML data into something that PHP can use. PHP can use these variables that we have here and then display them in a table, whatever we want to do with them. So that's what we're going to do here. So this should be set up okay, and if the colors look okay, I think that's what we want. So we'll see what happens. And that, again, these variables represent that, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a table here. So we're going to echo information on how to echo, and we're going to kind of echo. Remember, tables need our row tags, and they also need our table data tags. So we're going to echo stuff here. So I'm just going to go in here in our table, and we're going to say echo. All right, what I'm going to put in here is I'm going to start a row. So I'm going to do an echo, and I'm going to do a tr tag. And then I should be able to highlight this and add the quotes. If it lets me do that, it does not. Getting used to CodePen. All right, so I'm going to put my quotes here, and I'll put a tr tag, and then I'll put a semicolon. So that starts a row, and then I might as well end a row right after it. I'll just leave a space and make sure I have my ending row. This is just one row, and these are going to be headings inside here. So I'm going to do echo. I'll even tab in, and I'll do echo. And I'll do the same thing. I'll do my quote, and I'll do a th tag. And inside here, I'll put everything inside these quotes, because this is not any, there'll be no variables right here. These are just the headings. So I'm just going to put first name I could put. And then I'm going to put my closing th. And then I'll put a semicolon. So these are basically they're basically columns, but they're going to be headings. So I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to put my headings here. So there's no variables in here. I'll do it 4 times, and this one will be last name. This one will be species, and then the other one will be gender. Okay, and those will be our headings right now. And that would be the first row. So I'm going to make a second row. I'll copy all of this. And my second row, instead of being, and watch this, I'll highlight this, the th, and then I'll do Alt Control or Option Command, and I'll highlight this one, and this one, and this one, this one, this one, and this one, and this one. Hopefully I could type TD, and they'll update all of them, which is nice. And that's what I want here, except everything is not going to be in here. So I'm going to delete this and finish off one and finish off the other, and just kind of put a space here. So I'll delete, finish off, space, finish off. And I'll do that for all 4, because this is, my variables are going to go inside here. So I'm just kind of setting this up so I don't miss anything, because I want quotes around these HTML tags. But what's going to go inside here is I'm basically going to do a dot, space, and then I'll just put variable for right now, because I'm not sure what it is, and then a dot, space. Now my variable is going to be, we know what it is. It's actually going to be first. So it's going to be $first. I could even copy this, and I'll go down here and I'll put it here. because remember, this is our PHP code. So I'll put first. And now that I have this, I'll copy this whole inner thing here. I'll copy it. And I'll put it inside of this one. And I'll put it here, so that way I have all the dots. Those dots concatenate. They kind of join text or a string and a variable. So that's what those dots do. In JavaScript, you might see plus signs. So I'm going to go here and put last. And then species, exactly what our variables are. So make sure that these are your variable names and that you spell it right and that you don't use capital letters. And that way, what should output? We should have one row that's a heading that just says first name, last name, species, gender, and then a second row that's inputting the information that we got from our form as variables. So whatever from our index.html page. So this is a separate page that once the form is being submitted, it's going to go to this page, and it's hopefully going to display this out. So, and again, I have a paragraph. We're not going to database yet, so this is only going to display on a page. So let's see what happens here after doing that. So that's what this should look like. And again, it's just 2 rows. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to go back to my index, and I'm just going to check everything out. Now, I didn't do any JavaScript validation or anything like that. We'll eventually do that. And I'm just going to try it out. So I'm going to go to index. We already have index here, and I'm just going to refresh it. And I'm going to put in a name, and I'm going to put Tommy Tuna. I'll just use fake names for now. Tommy Tuna, and he is a tuna fish. And his gender is male, because he's Tommy, obviously. And I'm going to hit submit. And I have a problem right now. So we'll have to fix that out. It's not posting. And because it's not displaying the post, I'm guessing it's not doing the PHP. So what I'm guessing here is we don't have the PHP interpreter working. And because we just opened up this index file and we did that, I don't know if we have PHP running. So let's do this. Let's preview this one, and let's do preview running application. And let's do that. And I think that is going to run it through the PHP processor. I think that's the problem, that it's not actually going through the PHP. So I'm going to go back here and do it this way and open up that new page and just open it here and close up this other one and make sure that I'm going from here, because this should be going through the PHP. So I'm going to go through here, and now I'm going to fill it out, and I'll just put in the same stuff, Tommy Tuna, tuna fish, and we'll go male, and we'll hit submit. And now it works. And you see what happened there is we did not have the PHP processor running because we never actually kind of previewed a PHP file in a browser. So it was just doing the index.html, and it didn't really have it running yet. But once we actually went to preview and said run it actually has to run the application, the PHP, to do that. So that's what we had to do there. I don't think the URL is any different, but it just didn't enable the PHP processor yet. So now that we're going through there, it should be okay once we have that going. You know, even if we hit the back button and we put in somebody else. Now it's not going to keep updating it if I put, you know, Freddy Fisherman. I'll do another one, Freddy Fisherman. And he is a human, Freddy. And he's male because his name's Freddy. I hit submit. And there it is, Freddy Fisherman. Now we're not adding to this. This isn't a database. That's why it says will not be added to database. But it's putting in all our information here. Freddy Fisherman, human, male, and it's doing that. Now it's doing it through PHP. But our PHP processor was not working because we only had an HTML page open initially. So we just know that we have to do that. You know, open up one of these first and do kind of a preview running application. Or we might have had to do run project will work too. But I checked everything else, and everything else, you know, obviously you can have errors anywhere. But everything looked good as far as what I saw, so everything looks okay. That's what it should look like. It should basically, these are our headings that are here, and this is what's showing up. So what we're doing here is we're actually taking information from our index page from a form that we're doing here, and by using these name attributes of first, last, species, gender, and then on our display page, and we're actually running the form through displaya.php, so that's our form action, displaya.php. And the method is post. So then when we go to their display A page, we generated variables so that PHP could use them, first, last, species, and it's getting them, or it's posting them from first, last, species, and gender from those name attributes in our form. And then we're basically just in our PHP here, we're generating, we already have a table set up in HTML. We're just generating the rows. Our first row is basically headings, which is why they're bold already, of first name, last name, species, gender. And our second row is the information that we entered. So our information from our form, first, last, is being entered there. Now what we want to do next, our next part of this, is going to be putting this in a database and then basically displaying our database. Now we already know how to display our database. We already did that before, but now we're kind of adding all these steps to it. So we can not only display our database, but add things to it. And we'll do it with this small SpongeBob database first, and then we'll work on a bigger database. But that'll be the next part of this.